Most people are neglecting themselves. They're not focusing on their most valuable asset, which is their body. In today's age, we're focusing a lot on work. We're focusing our time on things that we feel like we're so busy. It kind of falls in the place of social media too, and just that whole genre and era of trying to be the best you can be, almost like the hustle, and neglecting a lot of the things that are natural and sustainable for our own bodies.
What if you could reclaim hours of free time each week, create legacy building wealth, and devote more energy to your passion projects without giving up on your career as a life-saving MD? Dr. Vikram Raya is a functional cardiologist, high-performance coach, and real estate expert, is here to give you the tools, strategies, and solutions you need to transform your life, unlock your limitless potential, and achieve greatness, all while freeing up your precious time. Welcome to Limitless MD. Let's dive in.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Limitless MD. I'm your host, Vikram Ryan. Today, I have an amazing health and wellness expert, Zeke Samples. He comes from Florida, and he's helped thousands of individuals really take back their health, lose weight, gain health, gain clarity, and really take their middle-aged frame and their composition to an elite level in less than 3 to 5 months. And so, Zeke, welcome to the show. I'm so excited for what you got to share with our audience.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. So, listen, the nutrition space, the wellness space, the weight loss space is super crowded.
Yes,
Like,
it is.
what is one thing that you know to be so true that most people are missing?
Wow. Well, most people are neglecting themselves. They're not focusing on their most valuable asset, which is their body. They're in today's age, we're focusing a lot on work. We're focusing our time on things that we feel like we're so busy. It kind of falls in the place of social media too, and just that whole genre and era of trying to be the best you can be, almost like the hustle, and neglecting a lot of the things that are natural and sustainable for our own bodies, turning a lot to maybe medicinal routes, which are quick fixes, so to speak. So,
Yeah, I totally agree. I've been trained in functional medicine, and I know that medicines are important at times, especially for acute illnesses, but for a lot of the chronic diseases, usually they're lifestyle based. And what I've noticed is instead of addressing where they originated from, we're masking the symptoms with the medications.
right. Yeah. I mean, in my industry, I see a lot of uh, patients that want to lose weight, and they are torn between wanting a quick fix or they're wanting something that takes a little bit longer, but will teach them a platform.
So tell me this, why can't we all just be on GLP-1s and be a healthy weight?
Well, check out some of the websites that have so many negative reviews about the skin sag and a lot of side effects. I mean,
So let's talk about the side effects. Can you list them off? What do you think?
well, there's skin sag. People's, if you took a before and during picture or before and after picture of a patient that's been on that product, you see a lot of sagging in the skin, the facial structure. You can see it in the body as well. There are a lot of side effects that individuals are feeling in their daily routine, such as sickness, because our body has hormones. Men think about hormones as testosterone, women think about it as estrogen, but cortisol is a hormone. Serotonin and dopamine, those are your feel-good hormones. Um, the ghrelin hormone is actually involved in your satiety, feeling of fullness. So when you have a disconnect there, you're going to have a lot of negative results if a drug is behind how it's making your hormones react.
Yeah. And I think read some of the articles you have. Some of the things and you probably know better than me, but I'm just going to mention a couple of things. Like some people are saying loss of lean muscle and
Yeah,
strength is a concern. And, if you're not getting enough calorie intake, you can selectively lose more muscle mass than fat. Um, I think that's a concern. That's a real trade-off.
correct. Because you're either a metabolically, you're metabolism 101. You're either a fat burner or you're a sugar burner. If you're a fat burner, then you're burning a higher caloric amount of calories because 1 gram of fat is 9 calories. 1 gram of protein is four. 1 gram of carbohydrates is four. So your body knows how to survive from, say, caveman days. We were hunters, we were foragers. We just know when was our next meal going to come from? So it knows to live off the fat and burn the lower calorie content. So it's very similar to what we're seeing today. People's bodies are able to burn that lower caloric value because it's just easier to burn. It's more of a lower caloric content and an argumentative way to look at it that way.
Yeah. The second one, the second major side effect that that I've seen people talk about is blunted training intensity, and their VO2 max can decrease over time. And the reason is, you have early satiety, you have fatigue, low energy. Sometimes you don't, normally when you could train pretty hard, now you don't. That could be just due to, not taking enough calories in, just versus just overall drive. And then if you're not doing some of the, the HIIT training and all that, that could help affect your VO2 max, your mitochondria, even your heart rate. Have you seen that at all, or have you seen people sort of poop out and just not give it their all?
Well, sure. Excuse me. Sure. I've seen that happen with people that I've actually helped on a physical scale with exercise. They've had drops in. They've been able, they've taken the medication, but they've had drops in their VO2 max. It's interesting that you brought that up because the body isn't holding as much muscle mass. It's more fatigued. Again, it kind of goes back to affecting hormones indirectly. And I feel that's one of the biggest keys that we really haven't been able to discover with the people that have been on those products.
Yeah, and then, the other thing is like the common side effects of just the medication itself is, nausea, bloating, reflux. You can have constipation,
Yeah,
diarrhea, decreased gastric emptying. And, what happens really is like, you become dependent on these things probably for your goals versus learning to master a skill, right? The way you teach using nutrition and, supplements and fitness is really like, hey, learn how to handle your appetite, learn how to handle going out to dinner and all that kind of stuff versus now you have this quick fix. But the moment you get off these things, right? Uh, since you didn't master a skill set, it was just a physiological effect. You go back to who you were.
sure. And you don't know how to get back to where you were successful. So what I really help focus in my program, my main focus is to teach people that sustainability, to understand the reasons why you're doing something. And it's not about it's not about steps, or it's not about thinking of it as something that you have to completely turn your world upside down. I mean, we put clothes on every day. We take a shower every day, so it's just a routine. And when you incorporate healthy choices into your life through education, education is key. You start to understand why these choices are better. I've had patients graduate from the program that have lost 80 pounds. And one guy said to me, on my health questionnaire form, I said I struggled with allergies. And I really appreciate the knowledge you've taught me and the things that I'm changing now in my life. It's great to lose this weight, but if I didn't lose any weight and just didn't have to wake up with allergies every day, I would have been happy with the outcome of the program. And that was just jaw dropping to me because there's so many mindsets behind, well, the scale isn't really moving. Am I doing something wrong? Maybe I just can't succeed with this. And that's a psychological piece. So one of the books that I've written, it's called the 3P protocol because it focuses on physical, actually doing it, physiological, the way the body responds, and then the psychological, which is the main component, I would say, of all three, because there's such a psychological piece to what we do every day, and that relates to nutrition.
For those people who are just listening to Zeke's voice, this guy is strapped, he's built, he has a phenomenal tan, strong jawline, he's ready to rock and roll. right? And the thing is, if you knew him maybe 20, 30 years ago, I mean, this is the same kid who was 130 pounds, 9 years old, scoliosis, kyphosis, had a brace, back brace. He's really turned himself around. He's really, taken his own medicine, if you will, and just learned natural medicine, plant medicine, personal training, bodybuilding, nutrition. And he's combined that into a powerful program that has helped countless individuals. I'm just curious, what is your routine, Zeke? What do you do consistently? Talk about your morning routine, talk about your supplements, talk about your training habits. We just want to learn.
Well, sure. I don't really have a lot of supplements. I go to the grassroots, L-glutamine, which is
Hmm.
one of the most abundant amino acids in the body. It's removed from bones during a period of high stress. So I supplement with L-glutamine. I also stay consistent with my protein, but my intake of calories is really just above what my body needs to function throughout the day and to exercise. I don't overeat protein. Overeating protein can put your body into an acidic environment. And I preach at least a neutral pH balanced core or slightly alkaline. And that really goes off of the whole concept of staying out of an acidic environment. That's where cancer lives, death, disease. Number one side effects in most medications is weight gain. So my routine starts off with the breakfast. I usually have a post-workout shake. I'll have lunch, and then I'll have a snack, and then I'll have dinner. I usually stop my food intake I go to bed about 9:30. Whatever time anybody that's listening to this goes to bed, I would stop your food intake 2 to 2.5 hours minimum before you go to sleep, because your body needs to repair its cells. It needs to be able to stay with its circadian rhythm. It doesn't need to be working by digesting the late night snack you had. And that's kind of coincides with the whole reason why someone needs to lose weight, because those choices are made at nighttime after a hard day at work. So my routine is just consistent with my nutrition. And I have set days where I actually cook food and then I freeze it, or I have enough to eat for 2 or 3 days and then I thaw what I had frozen. So it's never something that I'm always in the kitchen or I'm eating things that just can't be maintainable because, there's kids over here, we've got to go to sports, or we have to be at work at a certain time. Just find simple solutions that fit with your schedule.
That's awesome, man. So the meal prep sounds like a sensible meal plan, not overdoing the proteins, but enough proteins where you're still feeding the body, some basic supplements, tons of water, sleep. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the
And
number one mistake that you see over and over again when people are trying to go through their health routine?
I feel like the number one mistake that people have is expecting too much too quickly,
Hmm.
because that's what society tells us we should see. People quit because they feel like they need to be perfect or their lifestyle can't support the rules. But the grassroots, again, is lowering stress, increasing sleep. Dis I call it decision fatigue, which things are going to really exhaust your body. And then from that point, how are our emotions? Because you want to stay away from emotional eating. Entrepreneurs, I feel like, are burning out more than ever because they don't have non-negotiables in their life. They feel like pushing is a badge of honor, right? Burnout is a badge of honor. I had one mentor say one time as he was speaking to our group, he said, "Sleep when you're dead." And I just thought that was the stupidest thing to say, because your body repairs the most while it sleeps. So I think expecting too much too quickly is one of the major or top tier things that people make the mistake for.
All right, Zeke, as we wrap up here, one last question. What are the top two or three health and wellness books that you recommend for people to consume to get their journey going in 2026?
Ooh, well, I would pick something that, I hate saying the word self-help, but find some individual that you look up to, that you find intriguing, whether it's what they say or their life and what they do. see what books that individual has written. And then if that's a book having to do with their personal life, you can mirror that if you feel that their personal life is strong enough. Or it could be something that they write based off of their knowledge of a certain field and industry, having to do with nutrition and wellness. Or it's a path that you want to take personally, because at the end of the day, we all want coaches, we all want mentors, we want people to help lead us to be a better person. You're a combination of the top 5 people you surround yourself with. I truly believe that. And as that's evolved in my own personal life, it's really made me become better. The second book I would say is the second book that I've written. It's The Sustainable Edge. It's Mastering the 3P Protocol. Why do I say my own book? Because honestly, it talks about reestablishing the body's cellular structure and core with the grassroots of cellular detoxification. You can detox an organ, but you're not detoxing the cells. We have billions of cells in our body, but if your body doesn't understand how to react to true health, which is from cellular detoxification, you're not going to be successful in other areas of your life, and it's not going to become sustainable. And that book has loads of information on what the 3Ps are, which I mentioned before, and it also has a lot of testimonies in there.
Awesome, man. All right, Zeke, thanks so much. And looking forward to seeing how your clinic unfolds and all the success you're going to have with all those clients. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity, Vikram.
Absolutely. Take care. And to all the listeners, thanks again for supporting the podcast and the show. Until next time, be phenomenal.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Limitless MD. If you found value from this episode, I encourage you to share this episode with a friend and let me know by leaving a review. For more information, make sure you check out the links in the show notes below or simply visit vikramraya.com. Until next time, be phenomenal.